And hi again, this is video 2 of 2 on supply and demand, and in this video we're going to focus on the algebra portion. So hopefully you've watched video 1. You know our scenario here about our underwater basket weaving class that we're offering at our recreation center, and we've already done this graph, so we have a pretty good idea roughly what data point we're looking for. Now we just want to confirm it exactly using our algebraic equations. So you may remember that basically a lot of this revolves around the formula y equals mx plus b, where y is a point on the vertical axis, x is a point on the horizontal axis, m is the slope of our line, and b is where that line intercepts the y vertical axis. So what we need to do to start with is we need to solve for each of these. We need to solve for m, which is our slope, and b, we need to do that for both our supply line and our demand line. So let's make a little chart here. I'm going to make some nice little borders so it's nice and neat. Okay, so m, or slope, you may remember, is rise over run, or in this case change in price, which is our y, over change in quantity, which is our x. So if we were to take the supply line, and I'm going to start this with a little equal sign to let it know we're doing a formula, we have change in price. Price is going to go from 100 to 150, divided by a change in quantity, which is 10 minus 20, and we get a slope of 5. So that 5 goes supply line, slope, and I like to just do some pasting here, just because that way I know it's the exact same number. Okay, and I'm just going to help me out here a little bit with my memory. Okay, now we need the slope for the demand line. So again, our change in price is the same. Our change in demand now goes from 15 to 6. And we get negative 5.56. I'm going to copy and paste that again in here. You should note that this is a negative slope. Remember, the demand line slopes in the opposite direction, so it is negative. Okay, let me remind myself. Now that we have the slopes, we can solve for the intercepts. So again, we go back to our nice little equation. Y equals mx plus b. We have 3 of the 4 points here, and we're trying to solve for b. In this case, I like to go ahead and set up the equation b equals y minus mx, and just to remind you the algebra there, we're basically subtracting mx from both sides to get to this point, to get it so it's just b. So in this case, b equals y. We can use either one. We'll use the 100 price minus the slope, and we'll start with supply, which is 5 times x. So the x corresponding point to 100 price is 10, and we get an intercept of 50. That is our supply intercept. Graphically, what that is telling us is if we were to follow the supply line on out here, it would cross at 50, so right about there. Okay, now let's do it for demand. So we can use the same y for price minus slope, and I'm just going to highlight this again so I don't mess it up. I'm sorry, slope, times the corresponding x point, this time on the demand curve, so we're looking at this one, 15, and we get 183.3, and again I'm going to copy that into my little chart here. Again, that tells us if we were to follow this line on up, it will intersect up here at a little over 180, and you can see roughly how that would work. So we have this little chart all filled out. So now what we know is mx plus b on the supply side equals mx plus b on the demand side. Or put another way, this is the points where they equal. So what we want to know to start with is what is our x point So where are we here where these points equal? So let's look at the supply line. We know the slope is 5. We don't know x, that's what we're solving for. And we know the intercept is 50. I'm going to just, so this isn't a formula. That little apostrophe just means it's not a formula, and all I'm trying to do here is visually show you what's going on before we do the formula. Equals the demand line at that same point. Our demand slope is negative 5.55 times our excuse me, x point there, and it doesn't really matter. We're going to use 15 plus our intercept, which we skipped on the supply. We'll go back to it. Our intercept is roughly 183.3. And let's go back here. No, we didn't skip our intercept. Our intercept is 50. Okay, so this is what our formula is going to look like. And I'm sorry, that's not 15. That is x. So let's, I'm getting ahead of myself. So just to recap there, so slope times x, we're trying to solve for x here, plus the intercept, this is the supply side, equals our slope times x, which we're trying to solve for, plus our intercept on the demand side. So as you can see, you got to take this slow because it can be a little confusing. So the first thing we want to do here algebraically is combine the x's. So to do that, we're going to add 5.55x to both sides. That's going to get rid of it on this side. Then we're going to get 10 point, can I do this little apostrophe so you can see 10.555x plus 50 equals 183.33. Okay, let's get rid of the 50 on that side. So we have, excuse me, 10.55x equals, we're going to subtract 50 from that side. So we're going to subtract 50 from this side, so 183.3. Now to isolate the x, we are dividing it by 10.55. So x equals 133.3 divided by 10.55, and that's going to give us our x. So now we just need to solve that. So most of this math was fairly easy, so I'll just use Excel for the last point, which is 133.3 divided by 10.55. So we get 12.64, which is the point, again, on the x-axis where they intersect. And we can eyeball that and see that looks about right. So now we have a point on the x-axis. We can solve for a point on the y-axis. Again, y equals mx plus b. We can use either points from the supply line or the demand line, because this is, after all, where they intersect, so they're going to share this point. But we are solving for y, the price. So y equals, I like to use the supply line just because. And in this case, it's neater number, so it's kind of nice. Equals 5 times our x point that we've already solved for, 12.64, plus our intercept, which is 50. Okay, that's what it looks like. Let's do the math. Pretty simple math here. 5 times 12.64 plus 50, 113. So what this is telling us is that our intercept point here is 113. So 113 by 12.64. And graphically you see that is correct. So ideally we would have sold roughly 12 slots at $113. So that includes the algebra portion. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I will see you next week. Have a great day.